and fellows to the Institute of Advanced Technology, in the heart of Hill Valley, California. I'm Professor Rick Taylor, Chief Researcher. As you know, our institute is home to some of the most groundbreaking scientific advances of the past 30 years. Much of it is still top secret. We're here to talk a little bit about it too, with our trusted colleagues. Now, some of our most fun and useful research, hoverboards, rejuvenation clinics, weather control, food hydration, and even a portable home reactor that can take household waste and turn it into phenomenal amounts of energy, we're calling that one Mr. Fusion, are imminently to be unveiled. But we might be missing our 2015 street date. However, I'm sure you're not here to listen to me waffle on about what we've got in store. You're here for the main event.
Yes.
With the time coming up, 2:19 precisely, we're going to welcome our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome the founder of the Institute of Advanced Technology and genius inventor of a machine that will no doubt be very familiar to you all, Dr. Emmett Brown.
Why am I not up there?
Great Scott!
Doctor, we're glad to see you back.
On this occasion, I'm back. Sometimes I'm forward again.
Just like
as long as
me.
you always know where the present is, you'll be fine.
Would you care to tell us a bit about yourself? Some of the people here might not know or what you do.
Some of the people here might not know me.
I do, because I am you.
That's heavy. My name is Dr. Emmett Brown. I've been a scientist for as long as I can remember. You may know me from a series of highly fictitious films made in the 1980s. They were about 70% accurate. Can you hear me at the back? Doc. I have burned through my entire family fortune and most of my life in pursuit of a scientific dream that everybody told me was impossible.
Man, I
but
move a lot.
I succeeded.
Tell us about that dream.
When I was a little boy,
I'm here.
I dreamed of adventure. I read the works of Jules Verne. I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I read Journey to the Center of the Earth over and over and over again. The ideas in them made my heart flutter and my head spin. I wanted to be in them to make them happen. Not in make-believe, anybody can do that. But I wanted to make them a reality. So that's what I wanted to do. And I promised myself that in order to do this, I must spend the rest of my life devoted to science. So after I got my degree and my doctorate in advanced physics, I returned home to Hill Valley to concentrate on creating things which inspired the imagination, on creating things that were useful for people. I had limited success. In fact, I had no success at all. I was chasing big ideas that ultimately proved to be impossible.
Such
as, you're embarrassing me now, Rick. Well, let me see. There was a flying bicycle, a nuclear fridge. There was experiments with mind control and mind reading. All great ideas, but they ultimately came nothing.
Yes?
And one day, a fateful day, November 5th, 1955, I was suffering from a mild concussion. I was standing on a toilet hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet, I slipped, I banged my head, and I passed out. When I woke up, I had a vision, a revelation, a picture in my head, a picture of this. The flux capacitor. This is what makes time travel possible.
So, you banged your head and invented time travel. That was a lucky punt.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. You see, I knew how to make it. I knew what it was. but I had no idea what it was for. This is where we have to talk about my good friend, Marty McFly. At least 3 generations of the McFly dynasty are in here this evening.
Well, he doesn't sound like much of a scientist.
Well, he isn't, and he never was. But Marty formed the basis of a time paradox that I created by inventing the time machine in the first place. But it was Marty that gave me the idea.
Please explain.
Well, that night in 1955, after I'd invented the flux capacitor, I knew how to build it, but not what it did. And then Marty turned up out of the blue. I'd never seen him before. He knocked at my door and gave me all of the answers. Answers I would never have dreamed possible. Unless the evidence had been irrefutable.
Great Scott.
I know, this is heavy.
Yeah, that's
I first met Marty that night in 1955. But he first met me in 1983. That night, he was able to show me that the time machine I would invent over 30 years later. He would show me the flux capacitor that I'd drawn only that morning. And most importantly of all, he would show me the car that I would build it all into.
Yes, the car. Now, tell us, why did you build a time machine into a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? Besides which, the stainless steel construction solved the problem with flux dispersion I was having in the early design stages. Then one night in 1981, I was watching the TV and saw the car that Marty had shown me, and I knew my future self had made a pretty canny choice, and it was time to build the dream.
I'll get right on it then.
I also realized I'd stolen the idea from my future self.
That's heavy. No, we shouldn't get bogged down in the temporal logistics. This is just an overview.
Okay.
Maybe you can talk us through how this remarkable time machine works.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, I must apologize. One of the inventions that I was working on, which was a thought-controlled video unit, showing you all sorts of wonderful sights and sounds from the future and the past, is, as you see, completely inoperable. But they've chosen a nice font. Anyway, the car. Can you still hear me at the back?
Yes, please.
Everybody's welcome to come and take a very good look after the show. The interior of the car works as you might expect. It's got a steering wheel, gas pedal, and a brake. It'll run fine on regular gasoline. But if you want some real fun, then you've got to turn the time circuits on. You see the time display. Camera's on me. You'll see the time display. The different readouts. This one tells you where you were, this one tells you where you are, and this one tells you where you're going. You input the destination time on this keypad.
And how does it go?
How does it go? Well,
It goes fast.
as my calculations prove to be correct, when this baby hits 88 miles an hour, you're gonna see some serious stuff.
Why 88?
Well, Rick, it's all about the velocity needed to propel the time machine into its destination. Negative flux. Say it with me. Negative flux.
Negative
In fact,
flux.
don't say it. It sounds like you've got a speech impediment. The thing is about traveling in time at a great speed like 88 miles an hour is you've got to make sure that the destination time is clear when you arrive. Or you're gonna land yourself in an awful lot of trouble. You have to think fourth dimensionally. And this is where the special effects kick in, folks. This is why they pay me the big bucks. Please forgive the scale model. It's not entirely accurate. I was made promises about a radio-controlled car that never came to be. You see, when the time machine jumps time zones, you're traveling at 88. So you have to make sure that the course is clear, or 88, not 8. See what I mean?
Okay. I see.
That's why, for my original experiments, I picked the parking lot of a local mall. I knew that because of the zoning laws and the planning permissions, my chosen future date would be safe and clear.
So, the time machine is an incredible achievement, Dr. Brown.
Thank you very much.
One that could benefit the whole community.
The whole community? That's just it, Rick. It's not. It's not any kind of answer to anyone's problems at all. In fact, my friend Marty made one erroneous journey and almost erased him from existence, and his entire family timeline would have been null and void.
So you will never share this technology with the world?
I made sure that the original time machine was destroyed. It created so many problems, created so many alternate timelines, that the entire fabric, the threads of existence themselves could have unraveled. The consequences could have been disastrous.
Yes, but I can't help but notice that you've rebuilt the time machine.
Well, then I figured, what the hell? The future is what you make it, right? And so is the past.
I'm not sure what that means.
Tell you the truth, neither am I.
Okay, well, maybe we could open this up. Does anyone in the audience have a question for Dr. Brown?
Any questions? It's a sciencey question, I can feel it.
Yes, it is a sciencey question.
That sounds like a threat. What's your question?
If you're going to the future,
Yep.
if you brought something from the future back,
Yep.
wouldn't it change the future so it had even more futury stuff? So you could just bring something from the future back that was more impressive than, well, more powerful, like a hoverboard, back to the present. Somebody figured out how to use that, then you went back to the future and they had even better stuff. You could just keep doing that, so the present had the best stuff you could.
Well, you could if you were very, very irresponsible, yes. Well, you'll notice that I only let one careless teenager drive my time machine. And the cause and effect that he created altered the future. I mean, you may have noticed, kid, but we were meant to have flying cars this year. Hoverboards, self-drying clothes, the whole bit. It's called the butterfly effect.
Any more questions? This is your chance.
Me. What happens if you tell the stuff that happened in the future to your younger self?
They've cut you off because it was a difficult question. What happens if you tell the stuff that was going to happen in the future to your previous self?
Yes.
Oh, with cool stuff like the DeLorean. I mean, the consequences could be disastrous, and you must never, ever, ever do it. Unless you're me and you know what you're doing. You believe that, you believe anything.
Well, that's me then.
Any more questions? Difficult questions?
Or easy questions.
How old was she when you actually made it?
When I made the DeLorean, let me see. Well, as I'd be about 120 now, I must have been about 73 years old in 1985. Work that one out. Time travel's very good for your skin, yeah?
Yeah.
How long did it make to make?
How long did it take to make? Well, first I had to save up for the car. And then it took about 3 years to build. And I had to do some dodgy deals with some very dodgy people to do it. Which is one of the reasons I'm here.
Any more questions?
Where's Einstein? Well, he's safe back in 1985 with your older self, Marty McFly Sr.
There's one there, Dr. Brown.
What fuel does it run on?
What fuel does it run on? Well, it runs fine on regular gasoline if you want to drive it on the road. But this, being a replica of the original time machine featured in Back to the Future 1, will only run on plutonium. That's plutonium that I need to generate the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need to drive the car through time. So you can steal it, but not travel in time.
What would happen if you took yourself from the past and then brought him back to your time?
Took myself from the past and brought him back into the present. Well, that's kind of how I'm here today. I should be in the year 1985.
Hey, I'm right
Any
here.
of the adults want to
Right here.
ask a question?
No, you can't have the car.
Why did you invent time travel?
I always dreamed of seeing beyond my years, seeing what the future held. Surely that's a cool thing. I mean, everybody wants to travel in time, yeah? Maybe when you're younger, you want to travel back to the point where you could have got an A and not a D. And then you get older, and there's lots of things you want to do. And then you get older still, and you realize, what the hell, just live with it. But the point I made the time machine, I wanted to see beyond the point I would die. So that's why I'm here.
One down the front.
Oh, sorry.
How old was Marty McFly when he started helping ya?
When he started helping me, do you know how I met Marty? He broke into my lab as a dare for school. Everybody said there was this old weirdo who lived up on the hill, and he did crazy experiments, and he wanted to come and see. So he was about 15, 16 years of age. And he broke into my lab, and he thought the stuff was cool. I wouldn't let him see what was under the tarpaulin, though, because that was the time machine, and he wasn't supposed to know about it yet. But how old he was in Back to the Future 1 was 19 years old.
I think Batman might have wanted to ask a question.
What's it like in the year 3000?
What's it like in the year 3000? Well, we've definitely got flying cars, and you can quote me on that. Beyond that, I can't really say, because if I tell you, you might grow up to be a scientist and invent all the cool stuff, and the year 3000 will be different. One careless remark I made in 1888 means we don't have flying cars today.
I think you're going to have a sharp question here.
Go easy on me, it's been a long day.
Do you still have the train, and does it work the same as the DeLorean?
The train. I was going to bring it today, but they aren't paying, as you might guess, the big bucks. So yes, the train is still very much operational. It works much the same way as the DeLorean, except I've managed to reduce the power consumption. You don't need plutonium, you don't need Mr. Fusion, it'll run fine on regular coal. But you have to go back to the past to find any of that now, of course.
Any further questions? Right, well, one final question, Dr. Brown.
Okay,
Is
hit me.
there one thing, one lesson that your adventures have taught you that you might like to impart to this audience?
Well, yes, Rick, I think there is. If you're impatient to see the future, there's no need to invent a time machine, just make it happen. If you want clothes that dry themselves, or shoes that lace themselves, or a flying locomotive, then invent them. There's nothing to stop you. You can do absolutely anything you want. If you see the girl of your dreams, you want to learn guitar, you want to be president. I would say prime minister, but who would want that? Just go for it. There's absolutely nothing to stop you. Because as I always say, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Thank you very much, Hill Valley. And we shall see you sometime in the future. Thank you. I'm gonna go back.
Don't stop on out. Some of the people as well.